The roar of Wembley was supposed to crown a new king. Instead, it became the scene of heartbreak, doubt, and betrayal. Daniel Dubois, once hailed as the next great British hope, walked into the biggest night of his career only to see his dreams crushed by Oleksandr Usyk. But what followed was even more shocking: rumors of partying, a split from his trainer, and then, an announcement so bizarre that fans couldn't tell if it was a joke or a desperate cry for help. Did Daniel Dubois really trade the boxing ring for a fish counter? Tonight, we unravel the downfall and the possible resurrection of Daniel Dubois, the man who went from national hero to a target of ridicule in just 12 months. We'll look at the truth behind his team shakeup, the viral career change stunt that had fans in disbelief, and the surprising plan that might just save his future. But as always with Dubois, the story isn't as simple as it seems. If this story already has you on edge, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the next twist in the boxing world. Just a year ago, Daniel Dubois was standing tall, the darling of British boxing. His thunderous win over Anthony Joshua had rewritten his story. He was no longer just a promising heavyweight, he was the man Britain pinned its hopes on to bring back undisputed glory, something the country had not seen since Lennox Lewis. The headlines spoke of destiny, of a changing of the guard, and of a 27-year-old who seemed to have both power and momentum on his side. But fate, in boxing, can be cruel. On July 19 at Wembley, Oleksandr Usyk, the master technician, the puzzle no one seemed able to solve, stood in his way. And as the final bell echoed across the packed stadium, it wasn't just another defeat. It was the collapse of an illusion. The loss itself was brutal, not just because it happened, but because of the way it unfolded. Critics accused Dubois of lacking the fire, of walking into the ring already beaten. Derek Chisora was merciless, declaring to Seconds Out's Radio Raheem that Dubois had quit again, that he never hunted Usyk the way he once hunted Joshua. For a fighter, those words are daggers. Quitting is the one accusation that can bury a career, and Dubois had already faced whispers of it once before. Now, they grew louder, sharper, and more unforgiving. As if the defeat wasn't enough, the aftermath spiraled into chaos. Reports began to surface that Dubois had been seen partying before the fight. Others claimed he arrived at the venue late, disorganized, distracted. To the critics, it was evidence of a man not ready for greatness. To the supporters, it was a painful betrayal of trust. For Daniel Dubois, it was the perfect storm of bad press, and suddenly, the man who had been celebrated as the future was painted as a fraud. Then came the news that shook the boxing community even more. Dubois and his trainer, Don Charles, were parting ways. Charles had only been in his corner for 18 months, but in that time, he had guided him to a world title and helped him weather criticism after setbacks. Their split seemed sudden, but in hindsight, maybe inevitable. A fighter searching for answers often looks first at the team around him. Whether Don Charles was truly the problem or simply a scapegoat, the decision had been made. Dubois was heading into uncertain waters. But just when fans braced themselves for more drama, Daniel Dubois delivered a curveball no one expected. Smiling, laughing, standing behind a counter stacked with fish and prawns, he posted a picture with the caption, "After all the bad publicity I've had, I've decided on a change of career." The image spread like wildfire. Some fans thought it was real, that the once feared heavyweight had truly given up the gloves for a life of selling seafood. Others laughed along, relieved to see Dubois joking, maybe even healing. His smile told the truth: it was a stunt, a light-hearted jab at the negativity, but it worked. The world was talking about him again, not as a quitter, but as a man who could still laugh in the face of humiliation. Yet beneath the jokes, the question remained: where does Daniel Dubois go from here? His career is far from over, but rebuilding would take more than humor. That's where the next twist emerged. Reports confirmed that acclaimed trainer Tony Sims would be stepping into the role. Sims, a man known for shaping Conor Benn and guiding John Ryder, was no stranger to rebuilding fighters' careers. More significantly, he once oversaw Anthony Joshua's early training, giving him insight into what it takes to mold a British heavyweight into a global star. For Dubois, this wasn't just another trainer switch. It was a lifeline. Promoter Frank Warren added his voice, reminding everyone that at just 27, time was still on Dubois' side. He invoked the story of Frank Bruno, who lost 3 world title fights before finally capturing gold on his 4th attempt. Warren argued that Dubois had already achieved more, having once held a version of the world title. The loss to Usyk, he insisted, was simply a reminder of the levels in this sport, a lesson from one of the greatest technicians of this era. But optimism can only go so far. The damage to Dubois' reputation was real, and rebuilding would require carefully chosen opponents. The names floating around included Ajit Cabale, Fabio Wardley, and Kubrat Pulev. Each posed unique challenges, Cabale with his unbeaten record, Wardley with his rising star power in the UK, and Pulev with his veteran savvy. A tune-up fight seemed necessary, but in the unforgiving heavyweight division, even tune-ups can become career-enders if taken lightly. On social media, fans were divided. Some praised Dubois for not hiding, for facing the criticism and even mocking it with his seafood stunt. Others demanded he prove himself in the ring, arguing that smiles and jokes wouldn't erase the memories of Wembley. Analysts echoed those sentiments. While many agreed that switching to Tony Sims was a smart move, they questioned whether Dubois had the mental toughness to withstand the next storm. After all, boxing is as much about resilience as it is about skill. What makes this story compelling is not just the loss, but the crossroads it has created. Daniel Dubois stands as a symbol of potential squandered and potential still untapped. He has been both the hunter and the hunted, the champion and the questioned. And now, with a reshaped team including Sims in the corner and Sam Jones stepping in as his new advisor, the next chapter of his career is about to be written. Whether it will be a comeback story or the beginning of a slow fade into obscurity remains to be seen. What makes Dubois' situation even more intriguing is how sharply it contrasts with his earlier rise. As a young prospect, he was marketed as the dynamite of British boxing, a fighter whose knockout power could end a contest in a blink. Fans remember those early nights at York Hall, where his punches echoed like gunfire, each victory adding to the aura of an unstoppable force. He wasn't just another heavyweight, he was Britain's promise, the man who could one day topple giants. Yet those same expectations have now become a burden. Every stumble is magnified, every moment of doubt dissected. For a fighter who once relied on sheer power, the real battle now lies not in his fists, but in his ability to rebuild belief, both in himself and in the millions who once believed in him. But one thing is certain, Dubois still holds a ranked position, and the heavyweight landscape is always shifting. With the right fights, the right timing, and the right mindset, he could yet return to the top. The same fans who laughed at his seafood counter post might one day cheer his redemption. Because in boxing, as history has shown again and again, nothing is ever truly over until the gloves are hung up for good. So here we are. From Wembley heartbreak to seafood counters, from trainer splits to the promise of a new dawn, Daniel Dubois' story is far from finished. The critics may say he quit, but boxing has seen quitters rise again, stronger, wiser, and more dangerous than before. The question is simple: will Daniel Dubois be one of them? And if so, who should be the man standing across the ring when he begins his resurrection, Ajit Cabale, Fabio Wardley, or Kubrat Pulev? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned, because the heavyweight drama is only just beginning.